Subscribers and fans, Iceman here. And check this out. I just watched this film on DVD. GAMMERA, The Invincible. Some pretty cool artwork on this cover. Now, the film was in black and white. And that's damn misleading. How the cover's in color. And they even have, like, the little scenes from the film and stuff in color. You know, that's weird. But it's the first time I've seen a GAMMERA film. And it was pretty cool. It's extremely aged. The film was made way back in the day. Let's see here. Like, it must have been the late 50s or 60s. 1965 is what it says on here. And it's 86 minutes long. So the acting and all that was very cheesy. And that was kind of okay because it's somewhat entertaining. And the scenes with GAMMERA, they're all practical effects. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't CGI back in these days. So you get to see some guy walking around in a big turtle costume and some really weird effects. Like, I'm pretty sure they drew in crayon or some shit on the film when GAMMERA would fly, because he would tuck up into his shell and like flames would spew out of the holes where his legs would go into and his head and his tail, and he would hover around like a UFO. I'm sure a lot of you guys know that who are familiar with GAMMERA. But it looked like in those scenes where he was flying, it was like they drew it onto the film itself. And you could see like the choppiness of it and all that. It was like this when you flip the pages really fast and you could see the animation. Something like that. But the film was kind of interesting. It was fun seeing the people and their cheesy acting go about and how they're trying to destroy GAMMERA and how they react to him. And there's this little kid in the film who was kind of a main character who had a passion for turtles. And this kid was kind of lonely, apparently. I don't think he had many friends. So he found identity in GAMMERA in those ways. Similarities with his own personality. So he wanted to save GAMMERA. And he went about risking his life in a few situations. But his aims were pretty much meaningless because he never really made any effect, the kid. But he just would chase after GAMMERA and put his life at risk. And GAMMERA actually saved him, which was really interesting and kind of dumb, but in my opinion. But GAMMERA was destroying this lighthouse, and the kid was like on top of it, and he starts falling. And then GAMMERA reaches out and catches the kid in his big hand and sets the kid down. So GAMMERA has compassion for some humans, apparently. Especially, maybe it was just the fact that the kid was a child. Perhaps GAMMERA could notice this. Maybe GAMMERA is a very observable beast, kaiju creature. I don't know. It seemed very intelligent in those ways. And very adaptive. As the scientists, upon trying to destroy him, found out that he pretty much adapted to any threat, to where he had an escape in a biochemical way. And some supernatural ways, as far as we could tell. I mean, he was very powerful, you know. It calls him the Invincible. He very well might be invincible. And I'll get to that in a minute. But basically, it began with the scientists and reporters that got off a ship and talked to some Eskimo guys. And there were these Soviet planes flying overhead, and they didn't know why. And in that instant, U.S. Air Force planes flew toward these Soviet planes and tried to identify them through radio. And they didn't respond, so the U.S. planes shot them down. And it never really explained why these Soviet planes were there in the first place. But I guess that's kind of beside the point, because they shot one of the planes down then in this Arctic region where these scientists were on looking this whole incident from the ground. It was kind of unrelated to them. And the Soviet plane went down, and apparently it had a nuclear bomb on it, or atomic bomb. And when it hit the ground, this bomb went off. It just blew the shit out of everything. Fortunately, the humans survived who were on land, because they were quite a distance away from it. But then, from that incident, the grounds broke, the ice cracked and shit, and GAMMERA emerged. And it was a frightening scene indeed. Humongous creature. These big-ass fangs. Terrifying indeed. So very cool. So he woke up, he came out. Then the Eskimo guy, they didn't see this happen. They didn't see the GAMMERA come out. It was so far away. We got to see that as the audience, that's it. But the Eskimo guy then gave the carving to the Japanese scientist and his assistant. It was kind of cute. Attractive female. Few attractive females in this film, in my opinion. So that kind of keeps it going along, you know what I'm saying? If you get bored, you can kind of just look at the girls and just, I don't know, acknowledge the fact that, some of these actors look good. What, was that weird? I'm just trying to carry you guys along in this, because it's kind of a long process here, discussing what the hell just happened before my eyes. I just woke up when I watched this film. But nonetheless, they gave him this little carving of rock, and the scientists took it, and they heard GAMMERA. They didn't see him, but they heard him. And everyone in the little Eskimo community freaked out. Even the dogs freaked out. They started howling and shit because they heard GAMMERA. If they heard him before? Like, this is legendary stuff, apparently. Like, everyone knew of the concept of this creature. This mythical creature, perhaps. But now, they heard it. And it's freaky. Wouldn't you be scared? But, I mean, how did they know what it was? They must have somewhat knew, like, how it sounded. There might be legends of how the damn thing sounded. But I don't think it explained that. But anyway, then GAMMERA attacked a big-ass ship that these scientists came on. And it destroyed it. And there were a few witnesses, and they told the government and the news outlets, but they didn't really believe them, right? They were like, what the hell, a big-ass turtle? These people were high, It's kind of what their thoughts were. They're on drugs or something, or they're hallucinating. Maybe lack of sleep. Who knows? There could be all sorts of things that could attribute to that. So get your sleep in, because, man, some wacky things could happen if you guys miss your sleep. Just a side note. And some advice. But then another ship came and picked these scientists up. And they were all discussing this, and the U.S. military were discussing this whole incident. And there's this other guy who just kept doubting everything, even though more and more evidence emerged that there's something really big that's screwing things up. But this guy just kept on doubting in the military. It's just kind of funny. But then a lot of the Japanese folk and these Eskimo folks and stuff, they made connection with the mythical legends and this giant turtle, and how now people are saying that it has emerged and they're witnessing it before their own eyes. So they started thinking that this GAMMERA is real. And so then the UN meeting was held, and they decided to work together with the Japanese and the Russians and to take on GAMMERA. And they tried to freeze him with freeze bombs, because they found out in an earlier scene that when they bombed the shit out of him, it doesn't hurt him. In fact, he started inhaling the flames from the bombs. So through studies and shit, the scientists found out that that is his strength, that GAMMERA thrives on flames and heat. He gets his power from that. So, they were freaked out over this matter. And they also made the connection how that atomic bomb went off. And he must have came out of the ground, because they went and investigated that scene later. And they said how that atomic bomb produced a hell of a lot of heat. And apparently it didn't kill GAMMERA, because they saw the footprints going from there to the ship that he destroyed. So they knew that this creature most likely thrives on heat and flames. So it was freaking scary. But yeah, they decided to try to use these freeze bombs that they made. And they took some effect. They even went as far as to, GAMMERA was up on a cliff, and they blasted him with a freeze bomb. So GAMMERA kind of froze up, right, for a few minutes. It didn't last very long. And then they put dynamite in the cliff, and they blasted the dynamite out. So he fell from the cliff, and he was frozen. He was on his back, and they didn't think he was going to be able to get up, because the scientist guy was like, well, turtles can't get up when they land on their back. Which is kind of weird, because turtles can get up if they're on their back. But I've seen it with my own eyes. Turtles are able to get up. It takes them a few minutes sometimes. I mean, maybe there are some turtles that can't. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they can all get up eventually. If they struggle enough and they have enough energy, they can roll back over if they're flipped on their back. So it was weird how this scientist guy was just so sure that GAMMERA wasn't going to be able to get up. Like, for one, he's this big-ass thing, and he doesn't necessarily look entirely like a turtle that we've seen before. Like, he has these big fangs hanging out of his mouth. He probably has a longer neck and legs than most turtles, but... I mean, it's a monster creature, you know? Like, it probably can get up if it flips on its back. Like, this thing has already caused a lot of destruction. And they saw how it can take a bunch of shit, like from the bombs. So obviously it has a lot of endurance and power. But nonetheless, they froze him when he flipped on his back, but then this happened. He started to fly. He sucked himself into his shell, and little flames shot out of his little holes, and he started spinning around, and he took off. It was spooky. This happened before their eyes, the scientists and the army. So they were freaking out that this creature is able to fly, and he's going to go cause more destruction, as far as they were concerned. So they were amazed by that. And then they found out that the little rock carving that the scientists were given has little clouds etched in it. So they're like, oh, damn, this thing's been flying around, and these ancient peoples have tried to observe this, and they carved this into the rock, these clouds, in metaphor conveying the reality that this thing can fly, man, through the clouds like an airplane. So pretty cool. So they have this grand plan to lure him to an island now, the militaries, with a trail of fire. So the GAMMERA will follow this trail of fire to an island. There's a volcano there. I'm not really sure why that mattered that there's a volcano there, but there was. But he was kind of attractive when it started to erupt. GAMMERA was okay with that. But they had a trap there. Then these flames led them to the trap that they had. It was like this little, it was like this big egg that they were going to trap GAMMERA in. Because remember, they know now that cold climates, he doesn't deal well with extreme cold. Because he must have been frozen in the Arctic. But that atomic bomb, with the heat that it emitted, helped thaw him out or whatever, and he escaped. So they trapped him in this freaking egg, because that's where the fire led. This contraption that they built. And then GAMMERA was stuck in the damn egg. And then it blasted him up to the sky. See, we didn't really know this. They called it their Plan Z. And this was Plan Z, where they trapped him into this egg. And they didn't tell us what it was. It was weird. It was like a mystery. I was like, wait, is this supposed to be a mystery to us? I'm pretty damn sure it was. It was kind of a surprise to us when this happened, when it shot up. Because it was a rocket that was buried in the ground. So GAMMERA's stuck in this damn egg, and it shoots him up to Mars, is what they were saying. And everyone's cheering and happy that he's been blasted away. So it's cool. And I looked into it, and Mars is pretty damn cold, as I suspected. In fact, I think it said like negative 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And in some regions of it, it's negative like 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Like, this is far cooler than any environment on Earth, right? On the surface anyway. And probably below the surface. But pretty damn cold, man. So they're probably assured that he's going to stay, this rocket is headed to Mars, it's going to land, and GAMMERA will just simply be in a frozen state, basically. Which is why they call him the Invincible, you know? He's called the Invincible, so I'm not sure if they can even destroy him. Holy shit, they might not be able to destroy him. I mean, the bombs didn't have an effect. So Godzilla versus GAMMERA would be some interesting conversations to have, and I plan to have some videos regarding GAMMERA now. As I've mentioned to a lot of you guys, and a lot of you guys wanted me to make videos on GAMMERA. I didn't want to, though, until I saw the original film, so I finally watched it. But that's pretty damn impressive. And humanity was basically then celebrating because GAMMERA is headed to Mars, and they must just think that he's going to be contained there for a long, long time. Not going to kill him, because as far as they know, he's invincible, but it's going to contain him. So what might be the cause of his release from there? Might he be able to escape? We really don't know. I thought it might be somewhat ignorant, the fact that they were celebrating this so much, because how do they really know I mean, this thing can fly around like a UFO. But yet they were so confident in the end of this film that the danger and the threat was neutralized. But my thoughts were, you got to apply chaos theory to this shit, Infinite monkey theorem, things like that. If bad things could happen, they're probably going to happen. And there might be a chance GAMMERA can escape from this. For all we know, the rocket's going to land and blow up and cause a bunch of heat. And he's just going to fly away anyway and come right back to Earth. Who knows? But there might be sequels. I'm going to look into it. I'm not sure about that. I probably should know that by now, but I don't. I think there are sequels to this film or other GAMMERA films. And I'll probably watch them if they are. And I know this newer one was released just in 2015, I think, or 2016, a GAMMERA film in Japan. Pretty damn sure of that. So I might have to try to check that out as well. I'd like to. I'm not sure if there's an English version, but there should be, right? Interesting theme song as well throughout the film. It just goes, GAMMERA, GAMMERA. One word. And that's all it is. And it was funny because it did that at the beginning, and then halfway through, after everyone knew about GAMMERA, in a city, there's these people playing the theme song when GAMMERA emerged, and GAMMERA destroyed the nightclub that they were playing the song in. Interesting. But those are my thoughts on this film. It's pretty entertaining. And I look forward to watching more similar films, especially all the Godzilla ones. And maybe another GAMMERA one if they exist. And a Rodan film. So like this damn video if you will. Hit the thumbs up button. And let me know your thoughts on this matter. And what video do you want me to do a review on next in the Godzilla GAMMERA universe? Let me know. More videos to come. Peace with you.